Good morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Edwards. I am the president and founder of FFERM Technologies. And first, let's say what FFERM is. It is Four-Factor Enterprise Risk Management. So that's what FFERM stands for. And what we do is we focus on implementing a new-found risk management methodology that we've created. The reason why is because recently, we kind of realized that the risk management methodology that's being implemented today just doesn't work. It was created 40 years ago by the military, and it was a implementation where they focused on military systems. Excuse me. And so you fast forward now, and we are in financial services, and we're still using the same methodology. So what we did is we created a methodology that is 4 factors. And that 4 factors is compounding, severity, likelihood, and predictability. The 2 factors that pre-existed were the severity and likelihood factors. We added compounding and predictability. And the reason why we did that is because all of the errors, all of the issues, all of the failures in banking in the past couple of decades have been contributed to about 2 items. One of them is risk compounding or risk amplification, risk correlation, risk contagion, a lot of basically risk items impacting each other. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you wonder why isn't likelihood and severity focusing on risk? So that's one problem with the methodology today. Another problem is basically being able to predict or look at leading indicators to help you understand when this risk event may happen. And so we have looked at about a couple of decades of data to find that all of these factors were contributing to most of the failures within the financial services industry. And so what we've created is an internal application that focuses on internal risk management within an organization. These 4 factors are focused on the internal risk profile. But we also have an external risk profile that we look at as well. So if we look at kind of how risk is holistically, most organizations look at risk from the internal perspective, but they rarely look at risk from the external perspective, meaning economic indicators, yield curve, rates, how that impacts an organization's bottom line and P&L. They don't really look at that. So our framework looks at both internal and external data. And we combine that to give you a score that is macro-enabled, that we call. And that macro-enabled score is a composite of the internal score and the external score that we have calculated. We come up with a score that we call the macro-adjusted risk score, which is a holistic score that gives you an understanding of what's going on within your risk environment in the organization. And some of the things that we want to highlight is that SVB, Lehman Brothers, Wells Fargo, FTX, they all had both internal and external issues that made them fail. But they only focused on the internal issues. Well, our application and methodology focuses on both. Now, some of the things that we have focused on as a company and some of the milestones that we have accomplished is that we have looked at accomplishments in products, validation, market, and company. One of the things that I want to highlight is that we have 5 editions of our application: a banking edition, credit union, a RIA, a broker-dealer, and an insurance application. One of the things that we've also done is we've had press releases, and we have gotten press release and articles published about our methodology. And the market that we're focused on is the RegTech market. That's the primary market, and our secondary market is going to be Treasury and ALCO, and our third market is going to be focused on GRC internal to RIA and broker-dealer systems. And the 5 editions that I spoke of earlier are here, and those are the particular issues that we actually identify within each of these different areas and the solutions that we look at in accomplishing and resolving those errors within the different modules. And so the team that we have is myself and my co-founder, Eddie Weaver Jr. We both are financial services veterans. We've been in financial services for the past 30 plus years. We also have advisors who focus on ERM strategy, cybersecurity, and BSA AML. Our revenue models, we have two, one direct to banking clients and another through our consulting partners that have banking clients that we will sell our product to. These are success factors. Some of the things that we're looking at are the ARR associated with our organization, our CAC, our gross margins. Those are the things that we're focused on, and those are the things that we're going to highlight. And finally, how we execute our implementation of the application, which is through cloud, enterprise, and hybrid. And we're looking for 500,000 as a seed, and we've got 4 ways that we're going to use the money. That's it.
Jeff, that was good. I'm right here.
Sorry. Hi.
How are you? Good. So that was good. Yeah, everybody, we like Jeff? That was good? Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. So this is FinTech Week, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of smart financial people here. I didn't totally get it at the beginning. Anybody else have that problem? Didn't totally get it at the beginning? Yeah. You're a great communicator, right? And this is a complex subject. Mm-hmm. I think you might help normies like me on board on this if you start with a story. Okay. That illustrates what the problem is, right?
Yeah.
Because I totally believe you that there's a problem. Mm-hmm. I 100% believe you. I would have no chance at telling someone else what the problem is at this point. Okay. Right? I would have zero opportunity there. The other thing I would say to you is this: is you used an AI to help you write these slides, right?
Some of it.
Yeah, right.
Some of it I did myself.
Of course, yeah. And you all do that. We all do that, right? Everybody uses an AI to write their slides. Okay, they're great authors. They're terrible editors. They're awful editors, and they think, oh, there's empty space on this slide. I can put more stuff on it. Will you go back to your market watch slides, like slide 3? Yeah. If you go back, yeah, that one's fine. All these, right? There's so much information on here. There is so much information on here. And dude, listening to you talk, I totally believe it's all accurate and true. I have no idea what these say, right? And so I would say to you, like, go for 24-point font, go for 36-point font over and over and over for the first meeting, right? Because you're going to impress them with your depth and your expertise. But right here, I felt overwhelmed with complexity. Okay. Yeah, cool. It was good, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, great job, Jeff. I think to exactly Chris's point, people will either listen to your voice or they'll read the slide. And so if you have less things on the slide, you end up listening to the story. And so if you've got a good story, I think you did that battle tested against history slide. Mm-hmm. Awesome. You could have led with that. And that immediately starts a story of like everybody felt the pain of those companies that failed and all that kind of stuff. Like that immediately starts telling that problem. And then you can get into, hey, and this is what we do right after that. Like that felt very, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I get it now. Cool. This is a composite score. We invested in a risk management company as well. Like we get it. That would have caught my attention pretty immediately. Also, so you guys have revenue, right? Like you guys have revenue at this point? Or you don't. Okay. When you put up a metric slide like this, sometimes it's hard to kind of tell. Like I always tell people, like when you do have revenue, make it known pretty early, right? That you do. So if you do have some metrics, and right, that's obviously not the case in this case, but if you do have that, lead with that because it immediately kind of tells the investor, hey, we are kind of pre-revenue or post-revenue, that type of thing. That really helps as well.
Kevin, can I ask you a question?
Please.
So when you go invest, like if somebody doesn't have revenue, does that knock them out entirely?
It knocks them out for us. There are a lot of investors out there that it doesn't knock them out for, right? So we're a little bit more like we need some product market fit, which means some real revenue, some cycles of retention before we kind of get involved. But it's really about knowing the type of investor that you're talking to as well and doing a little bit of research ahead of time so that it doesn't waste people's time.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you for leading us off.
No problem.
That was really great. A lot of brilliant fintech folks in the room, I echo what you said, for those not in fintech that are organizing how to evaluate deal structure and the opportunity. Some of the things that I'm looking at are the problem, and I heard this mentioned many times. What is the problem statement? And so you had me interested when you started sharing this legacy technology that's 40 years old, only the business has progressed, but technology hasn't necessarily progressed with that. And so I think if there were, and this is the exposure, and this is why customers are really interested in mitigating that exposure and how we do it and why this is going to make money for somebody that maybe not necessarily is, immersed in fintech, can start to really appreciate the value of that and hook into, I see how that scales. Okay. So that was where my mind was going a little bit. I also, and even though there is quite a bit on the slides, I really liked the titles of your slides, the bright big colors, the matrices. That was all, really helpful. At a glance, I would have loved to get a little bit more, but also, let's be real, it's a little bit further away, so there's no telling how much I'm going to get.
Yeah. So you didn't talk much about distribution. Can you talk about what you're doing for distribution?
As far as the product itself?
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we are looking at going through different consulting firms to distribute the product that way, because we get bigger bang for our buck that way, and looking at it from that perspective and creating those partnerships with consulting firms. Because if we look at how we would execute, depending on if we focus directly on a single bank, it would take just as much effort to focus on a single bank as it would a partnership. Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to ask a question? Yes.
What kind of competitive market is there in the product?
What kind of competitive landscape is there?
It's basically the GRC market. So we are a GRC, but we sit on top of existing GRCs. So we sit on top of ServiceNow, Logic Tech, Logic Manager, Audit Board. So we don't try to replace them, but we have interfaces into them where we can pull their data and analyze their data and do all the robust analytics that we have in our platform. But we do have two versions of our software where there is no GRC existing, and that's the broker-dealer and the RIA. There's no true GRC that's dedicated to those areas. So we've created a GRC for that purpose.
It's a salmon.
It's salmon. It's salmon. It's salmon, everybody. It's salmon.
A lot of firms will treat their risk analysis as a proprietary in-house product.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of dead attempts at trying to bring to market other risk analysis tools like this. What have you seen that gives you hope that this is not going to be one of those?
What I've seen is really more on how the public has kind of grasped onto it. For instance, getting published in Yahoo Finance and MSN, and they have kind of caught on to see that the methodology has lived its life, the likelihood and severity, and there needs to be something new. And I think I came just at the right time to deliver that message, because I think it's ripe for the picking right now. A couple of years ago, maybe not, but we've had so many disasters and so many failures that people are looking for something new and something that they can sink their teeth in and feel comfortable that they're seeing what they think they see.
Give it up for Dr. Jeff.